Hi everyone. So I'm going to continue going through some of the statuses that I've been writing on my social media over the last few weeks. Just wanted to mention though there might be a bit of noise as I've got the window open and the neighbours are clearing out because they're moving. So there's a bit of banging and crashing going on, which you might hear, and that's just the neighbours moving. Before I look at these statuses, I would just like to let you know of a beautiful gift that I received this morning. Yeah, it's really noisy outside. I do really apologise. Actually, I wonder if I can close the window. No, it's not even open. That's how noisy they are. Nothing I can do about that, I'm afraid. You have to bear with me. Yes, I received a wonderful gift this morning. Cat's Magic knew the gift was coming. I didn't. It was a complete surprise. So he told me I'd got a gift, made me sit down and close my eyes and hold my hands out like a little girl waiting for a Christmas present. And then he just put the gift in my hand, wrapped in tissue paper. It was really heavy. And I opened it and then I saw the gift. So I'm going to show you what this is because it's just absolutely fantastic. Look at this. Is this just not amazing? And I had no idea this was coming. So this is actually from Sam and Tessa at OrgonChi on Etsy. It's the same. It's the same company that made the rose gold flame triquetra pendant, based on the material in the rose gold flame book, Black Box program, and the rose gold flame as Antidote. It was based on the material in there, but this is just an extra gift that they've sent me. This is very much geared towards grounding and protection, shielding the black flame, EMF protection, rogue signal, psychic attack, all of those things. And it is literally the most powerful orgonite pyramid I've ever seen. I'm totally in love with it. So it came this morning. I haven't said thank you to Tessa yet. So Tessa, if you're watching, please take this as a massive thank you. I'm literally just in love with it, and it's just so gorgeous. Just so, so gorgeous. Wow. I mean, I'm just so speechless. And some of you might know I've spoken about the fact that I am currently searching for a new car, and I have quite severe EMF sensitivity, and I'm really struggling. Everything I find that I'm okay with is a real old banger, and just about to fall to pieces. And anything newer that is more reliable, I can't drive. So I'm thinking maybe of taking this pyramid with me and actually, having it in the car. But it might mean that I have to have this pyramid in the car forever. But it's just absolutely stunning and gorgeous. So this is from Sam and Tessa over at OrgonChi. So if you wanted to get to their website, you would just go to Etsy. So you'd go to www.etsy.com/UK/shop/OrgonChi. That's capital O, organ, and then capital C, chi, CHI. So these are made to order, and they come from Chester in the UK, but they deliver worldwide. I know lots of you have already purchased the beautiful rose gold flame pendant and several of the other items that they do, as they make the most fantastic orgonite. But as you can see, this is just stunning, and it was made specially for me, and I'm just so grateful. So Tessa, if you're listening, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is just amazing. So I'm just going to let you know what's in this pyramid. So let me see if I can hold it up while I'm talking about it. So in this pyramid is brass, copper, obsidian, tiger's eye, clear quartz points, citrine, 24 karat gold leaf, and hematite in each corner. So you can see the hematite there in each corner. Copper SBB coils, glitter, and resin. So in as the sort of layers go up, we're looking at copper curls, black iron oxide, silver infused shungite, so powerful, diatomous earth, if I've pronounced that correctly, pure copper powder and various sizes of copper shavings, shungite powder with elite shungite pieces, black tourmaline with responsibly sourced mica powder or mica powder, if I've pronounced that right, graphite powder with quartz crystal chips, 24 karat gold leaf, angel aura quartz point wrapped in copper wire with citrine and obsidian. And then at the apex is a Herkimer diamond in this pyramid apex. I mean, it's just so powerful. And it feels alive, you know? It just feels alive. Like it just holds consciousness and all the energy of the creation that goes into it from Sam and Tessa over at OrgonChi. So I just wanted to let you know about that because it's just stunning and powerful, and I'm really blessed to have received it. It's sat here with all my other pyramids, massively charging them all up. So just beautiful. Okay, let's move on to some of these statuses that I've been posting on social media, mostly on Telegram. Some of them have gone on to Instagram. They've all gone on to MeWe as well. And some of them go to Gab and some of them go to Minds. I try to use all of those platforms, but I'm going through Telegram to read them and potentially look at some of the questions. I want to get through the statuses really before I look at questions, because there are just hundreds of questions with every post, and really good questions as well. Okay, so the next status here. Someone asked, so this is based on a question. Someone asked, isn't the focus on the rogue signal causing unnecessary fear? It's similar to the fear induced by the mainstream over the pathogen in a way, where people were afraid to be around or to hug their family because of it. And now it's just the other way around. People being afraid to hug because of Jezebel juice. Shouldn't our focus be less on fear of people broadcasting Jezebel juice and the shed, etc., spiky, and more about what we can do ourselves for our own health and well-being? I'm starting to see people in the alternative community become anxious about this, and it's starting to just remind me of the normies in their pieces of material that go across the face. So, great question, and a really, really important point being made there. So this is my reply. I have responded to this question so much that there's really nothing more to say. It is not fear. I really cannot stress that strongly enough. Strong boundaries are created through the knowing of what is right for you and what is good for you, or not so right, or not so good. It does not mean you are spreading fear or acting out of fear. I hugged a Jezebel juice drinker today with nothing but love in my heart. No fear whatsoever. However, I still took measures energetically with tools and will only be physically touching a very small handful of individuals who have partaken of Jezebel's juice, who are family only, or partners and partners of family and their partners. That's it. That's our boundary. My actions are taken through focused intention and sovereignty, no fear. We really have to stop with the division card and the fear card, because that in itself is no different to the conspiracy theorist card or the anti-Jezebel card that's being thrown around and has been engineered deliberately by the service to self factions. So I don't think that really needs any analysis, because I've talked about this in previous videos about fear, about division, what I'm being shown about how we proceed with fear and division. So just going to read that status. No need to go through any analysis there. There were actually 119 comments on that. and 11,000 people saw that post. So, you know, I could come back to those questions, but let's just move on and have a look at what else I posted. I did post a disclaimer, and after the last recent posts, I felt it was quite important to post that disclaimer. So I'm going to also say that disclaimer here, which goes for all the videos on this channel. The material posted on this channel and in this group, so on the any of the groups that I run, it goes for all of them, is shared as part of the reader's or viewer's quest for spiritual enlightenment and well-being, presented from the author's personal experience and perspective. The suggestions and advice given within any such material posted here is not to be taken as or instead of medical advice or as diagnosis of any kind. The author assumes no responsibility for direct or indirect consequences arising from following this material. In no way may any material shared here be construed as encouraging or condoning any harmful or illegal act. In no way may any of the material posted here be construed as able to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, injury, symptom, or condition. So that's the disclaimer. Please be aware that everything that I share with you comes from my own perspective and from intuition and my guidance. So that has to be said, really. Okay, so we have a silly video here by Cat's Magic. He does tend to make a few silly videos quite regularly. A lot of them are posted, well, most of them are posted across social media, mostly on Telegram. Some of them are exclusively for the family only and don't get to see the public at all, and none of them are on YouTube. I think there may be the odd few from the past, but if you want to see Cat's Magic's really silly videos, which a lot of people seem to be finding utterly hilarious, then join one of my groups on MeWe, Telegram, or follow me on Instagram. Okay, so this is another post, and I posted this on May 23rd, so you can see how far back I'm going to try to catch up with all these posts. So this was posted by me on May 23rd. So here we go. It's going to seem like we are being forced into a small subculture of outcasts. Actually, the energy of this is 50-50, and eventually we become the dominant aspect of society until such time as we are all like us. That's going to take time. So whilst it's going to look strange and pretty scary for us, actually it's not in the long term. We are the pioneers of a totally new society. We are the ones that thrive. The old system simply cannot and will not sustain. When we get together, our levels of unity and connectedness and true love for one another will be felt by all of us. We will together create true euphoria and bliss for one another, the natural state of the human being. Hang in there, stand strong, and cultivate temperance and stamina for what is to come. It is important we create what we all came here to create. And we will, and it will be so worth it. We are doing this not just for ourselves, but for our great-great-grandchildren and all our descendants to follow. We will go down in history as the forefathers and mothers of the new world, as opposed to the order world new. Just switch that around. So let's have a look at this. It's going to seem like we're being forced into a small subculture of outcasts. So that is what it's going to look like at first, that the majority of society, the majority of culture in all countries are going along with the false narrative, and anyone else is an outcast. And that's going to be perpetuated within the narrative through media systems. That's going to be perpetuated, and we're going to be shown as, you know, a small subculture. But as I have said before, the energy of this is 50-50, and in fact it's actually slightly more, very slightly more at the moment in the energetic presentation towards the light. It's a balance that the light, if you will, the light is winning at the moment and has been for a long time. in the energetic presentation. That doesn't look like that in 3D. And in 3D, we're still in this chess game, 5D chess game, move, then counter move, then counter move, that sort of thing. Actually, the energy of this is 50-50. So energetically, when I wrote this May 23rd, it was 50-50. I'm now seeing this today. I'm recording this June the 12th. The light is somewhat more. So we could say 55-45 or even 60-40. That's kind of where we are and where we'll be for a while, until such time, eventually, we become the dominant aspect of society. And at that time, we're all like us. So that's exactly what's going to happen. And that will be the case in the third dimension. It will become more and more and more and more. And I think that anyone who is aware can see this happening, can feel this happening. And if you have heard this, but you're not aware, then the reason for that is probably because you are in that place where you are focusing, if you will, or maybe not focusing, but just observing with emotion and getting sort of caught up in the false narrative. If you take a step back from that into true observation and neutrality, then you will see that there is this subculture I'm speaking about, which is actually presenting at the moment like an underground resistance group, if you will. But in truth, these are the pioneers of the new world. These are the individuals creating new earth. And so I'll go through and talk about this. So eventually we become the dominant aspect of society. So in 3D, we will be the dominant aspect of society. That's how it will go. And that is going to take time. We are all like us. So eventually everyone is awake. Everyone is awake. That's the timeline, but there are multiple nuances and convergences and bends and twists and turns to get there. And there are attempts coming in from service to self factions to prevent that occurring, and movements to create that occurring in surprising ways that the service to self factions haven't counted for. But so too do they have movements that maybe we haven't counted for, although those who are aware in the main of what's going on. So there's a lot happening before we get to this inevitability of a fully awake, activated, and spiritually connected, harmonious society on Earth. That's going to take time. So that's going to take time. Now, people ask me all the time, how much time? How much time? Well, the answer to that is I don't know. I'm not given a date from the 9. I'm not shown how long this is going to be. The only date they've given me as an extremely significant event or shift or change is 2023. It's going to be a huge year, but so is 2021. So is 2022. Every year is massively significant at the moment. Every month is massively significant. Every week, every day. We're in intense times where we, if you go back to sort of prior to 2012, coming up to 2012, around 2012, we were going through sort of longer lulls, still points, calm before the storm, and then a spike, and then another sort of lull, time to catch your breath, calm before the storm, and another spike. But now we're in more spikes and less calm before the storm, still moments. It's spike, spike, spike at the moment. And that's because we're getting closer and closer and closer to this inevitability, and energetically and galactically, actually physically within the galactic sphere, we're moving into the center of a spiral, as the 9 have been talking about right since I got online 13 years ago. And within the spiral, there are rings. So concentric rings, as if you were in a circle, like if you throw a pebble into a pond and the rings ripple out. We're moving through those, but it's a spiral, not a circle. And each ring gets smaller and smaller. They're all the same size, but they get smaller and smaller and smaller in perspective to this singularity in the very, very middle. The 0 point singularity. And we're right on the edge of that middle bit. I mean, we're so close to the inevitability. And so everything's intense, everything's so fast and difficult to see the timelines, because you are looking at intensity of timelines that are converged. So everything that you can imagine happening is standing in potential as happening, or has some um, um, pre-matter focus or template to create the creation of that thought, especially if the thought is coming from groups. So you can see why the dark has a big energy, because have been focusing on this for a long, long time and are doing ritualistic movement to do so. But then you can see how big the energy is with the light, because of every aware individual and the thoughts that they have every day. These are cohesive thoughts. And it is literally the aware individuals that are creating this whole movement, this whole convergence into this inevitability, service to self and service to others. Anyone outside of that who's kind of, I don't know what's really going on, what's happening here, what's happening there, I trust these people, they're good, aren't they? Why are these other people thinking they're not? Anyone in that place of confusion, their thoughts are not cohesive enough to move into this manifestation. Now, that the service to others the service to self want those confused thoughts to be cohesive, so that they can add confusion into the mix, but they're not cohesive enough. Yes, there's confusion, but it's so unfocused and so random in their thoughts and doesn't align with their emotions, that really the only two factions creating this convergence of timelines for us right now, in alignment with galactic astrological energy and movements and frequencies, is service to self and service to others. They're the ones with the cohesion and the aligned, focused intention. That's why it's so important for you, despite everything you hear, despite everything you read, to stay in knowing of this. Knowing, and that knowing gives you joy, that knowing gives you bliss. Because even if terrible things are happening around you and you've lost a loved one, which is absolutely awful, or you feel that loved ones are being threatened in some way, or they're making mistakes where they could potentially harm themselves, if you will, without realizing, you know that on the collective level, on the planetary level, on the level of the future for our descendants, that's glorious. That's a win. That's a whole new, wonderful, harmonious society. And it's these birthing pains we're going through as we are creating this new dimension here on this planet. So that's going to take time. So whilst it's going to look strange and pretty scary for us, so not everyone is going to feel like that. Many will think this is strange. Lots of sleepers will think this is strange, but that acts as a catalyst to wake them up. Lots of awake people do think this is strange and pretty scary. I mean, obviously, the asleep individuals, the pretty scary is massive for them. Even some awake individuals, and many are thinking this is pretty scary. And I think all of us have had that thought at some point. But when we're keyed into the eventuality in absolute knowing, that overtakes strangeness and scariness. That overtakes fear, because we see and we know what is coming and that we're on track for it. And it's going to be fantastic. And every single person within this reality that has been looked at as an outcast will be vindicated in all they say. And that's not the goal. That's simply a byproduct. Your vindication of everything that you've been saying that no one has believed, and they've all said you're crazy, your vindication is a byproduct of this inevitability. And we must take that within humility, because if we take that in I told you so, I told you I was right, if we take that, then we're moving into a sort of a God complex energy, and it's not humility, and that won't assist in manifesting more and more and more. But everyone will be vindicated, including those that stand in the public eye in top banana positions. They will be vindicated in all they have said, and that's already starting to occur. As I said, we're on June 12th today when I'm recording this. You'll probably see this a few days later, because I'm doing lots of videos, so there's a bit of a backlog in getting them out. That's up to Cat's Magic and his editing. So, but yes, anyone in that position who have been standing in authenticity and truth will be vindicated. But all of this comes in degrees and comes in layers and levels in a domino effect. So it's not all coming at once, but it is coming at once. It is a mass collective awakening, but not all on the same day, at the same time, in the same minute, but in the same time period, which is now. We're in it now. So whilst it's going to look strange and pretty scary for some, and for many, actually, it's not in the long term. It's not strange and pretty scary. When you look at the inevitability and what is coming, it's not strange and scary at all. It's wonderful. We are pioneers of a totally new society. That's what we are. That's who we are. We're creating it. As I said, with our thoughts, we are adding to this cohesive thought process that creates pre-matter that manifestation responds to in alignment with the galactic codes, galactic intelligences on a quantum level. All of that takes place right now. And when you have a 50-50 broadcast, then it's a bit of a swing situation, a bit of this, a bit of that, which is kind of where we are, but we're coming out of it this month, June, with these eclipses that we've had. We're coming out of that, and the light is moving slightly more so. So the 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 intensity coming in from service to self is from a smaller group, but a group that's been incredibly aware for many years and have had multiple ritualistic preparation in place. So they've been able to put these false screens, these trapping systems, these dark matrices into place for many, many, many years. We have been walking along in all innocence and naivety with a few aware individuals for many, many years, giving us clues and assisting us. But we've been walking through in real time with open hearts. That's the difference between service to self and service to others. That's the energy, that's the frequency, that's how it works. But innocence and naivety with a pure open heart, created in a cohesive intention, is more powerful. And that's the metaphor of you're in a dark room, you can't see anything, and you light a match. The light is what shines on everything so that you can start to see in that dark room. That's the kind of metaphor that's occurring right now as we move forward when it comes to the light overshadowing the dark, because it always does. It always does, because they're different frequencies, they're parallel frequencies, they are dualistic, opposing, equal and opposite reactions. But when a planetary system is moving into an upgrade, then the light broadcasts itself in a far stronger, wider perspective and form, because it's photonic light and it's quantum light, meaning it's everywhere. It's not just a match being struck in a dark room, it's a light broadcast throughout eternity. That's what is happening energetically. Again, excuse this noise outside. So we are pioneers of a totally new society. We are the ones that thrive. That's us. We who are awake and who know. We are the ones that thrive. The old system simply cannot and will not sustain. So I've said this so many times. It doesn't have the energy to be able to sustain the upgrade, the higher octave. It is not in resonance with it. So it cannot and will not sustain. So that's where we're heading. It's finite, as I've said before, whereas the light is infinite. That's the difference. Even though they're equal and opposite reactions to one another, one is finite, one is infinite, because that in itself is a polarity, finite, infinite. They are equal and opposite reactions of one another. So the darkness has to be finite, the light has to be infinite. So this is the way it is for ascending planets. This is how it is. And if you are a starseed and you are aware, you will know you've been through this before. You have come to planetary systems to go through an ascension process to assist those individuals to move forward in whatever way that may be, in a physical sense. And right now, it's a world wide web, it's an internet, it's a broadcast of technology, and the ability for us to communicate with one another in various ways through fiction, and through song, through music, through art, through code, we can communicate with one another and activate one another into their own knowing and awareness of what's happening. When we get together, our levels of unity and connectedness and true love for one another will be felt by all of us. Sorry if the image is a bit blurred at the moment. I've got a new webcam and I still haven't been able to work out how to set it so it stops going in and out of focus. So if anyone's got any tips for me, please just send me a message. You can find the contact form on my website and it will go, that's magentapixie.com. It will go through to Cat's Magic because see, it's come clear again now. So we are a bit baffled and I've tried 2 different webcams and both of them are doing the same thing. So yes, help. Anyone who's a webcam expert. What are we doing wrong here? Okay, so we are the ones that thrive. The old system simply cannot and will not sustain. When we get together, our levels of unity and connectedness and true love for one another will be felt by all of us. So what is actually happening is right now we're all kind of separate. Yeah, we can get together a little bit here and there, small gatherings, but we're kind of separate in our countries, in our communities. We can access one another in big groups online and on Telegram and MeWe and all of these places, Gab and Minds and all of the others. We can connect online, but in actual real life, in physicality, we're prevented at the moment from being able to do that due to going back to the houses and aeroplanes not being able to accommodate passengers, etc., etc., etc. When we do get together in larger gatherings, and it is literally just us with no infiltration, no hijacking, it's just the aware that have gone through this journey and have come to a point where we absolutely know that we have won this, if you will. Once we get together, we are going to be in major celebration time. And it's more than just celebrating someone's birthday or Christmas or the usual celebrations that occur on Earth, like certain even religious festivals. We are going to be celebrating the liberty for our planet. The liberty for our planet. That's what we will be celebrating. And we're going to be looking into the eyes of all these other individuals and we're going to be thinking, they've been through what I've been through. We have all been through it. And now we're together and we are going to love one another because we're going to see in one another ourselves, our own journey, and all of the pitfalls and the struggles and the worries and the doubts. And then finally, when we get together, we are just going to know one another so well before we've even met every person. And because we're awake, we can sense energy and we can sense frequency, which means we can sense matrix fields in others and auras, and we'll be able to feel one another's auras. We create a dimension, a tangible dimension of consciousness when we gather together. That's one of the reasons why from the service to self factions we're being prevented from gathering together. That doesn't work long term. When we go into this inevitability, there are huge gatherings and they start off in New Earth in this subculture behind closed doors in secret, if you will, and then they become more and more and more out into the light as the light shows itself, till eventually they are the predominant members of society. That's the pathway. And no matter what occurs sort of within the periphery of this, that's the pathway. We don't veer from that pathway. They're going to try and prevent it. They're going to try and squash it. They're going to try and do everything they can to stop that pathway because they've seen it. They've seen it within their technologies and they don't want it. But it can't be stopped. It's already happened. This is the thing. When you're looking from the higher perspective, it's already happened. And we're simply just living it. We're simply experiencing what's already occurred. Set in pre-matter, falling into matter in whatever way, no matter what you do, you can't change an inevitability. It's inevitable. You can shift timelines, but you cannot change an inevitability. How it manifests, you can change. You can change the way it manifests, which is what they're trying to do. They're trying to create false screens so that they take the inevitability and create their own action that matches those steps on the road to the inevitability to fool, if you will, consciousness. That isn't going to work. In fact, what it will do is speed up the steps, because what they're using to fool consciousness, those false screen steps they're using, is waking people up. And this is the paradox. And this is a big one to get your head around. The inevitability that is there, that's inevitable, that they are trying to prevent, they are actually creating the inevitability. Those that want to stop the inevitability are the ones creating it. This is what is such a paradox. And that's destiny. That is the destiny for this planet. And you can't get around it. No matter what you do, you cannot get around this. It's a paradoxical quantum field that has an intelligence and a consciousness in and of itself, of its own. And it will go where it wants to go. And everything on this planet will start to mirror that quantum consciousness. So what's coming is beyond our comprehension on a 3D level. What's coming is more amazing than we can imagine it to be, is basically what I'm saying. And the high energy of bliss that we will be holding 24/7 at this time of the inevitability, even that is beyond description at this point. What's coming is so good. And all we can do at this point is feel it. It's difficult to explain it. All we can do is feel it and know it. And that's the next part of this status. We will together create true euphoria and bliss for one another. So when we get together in these groups and we see one another and we know one another and we create this palpable dimension and we look at one another and think, these are my people, this is my tribe, this is my family. I've never met them before, but they are where I am. They've gone through what I have been through. They are celebrating as I am. That in itself is born from love. We will literally love one another. We already do. This is the thing. We already love one another. Those who are at that place of awake and awareness, we already love one another. And that's very spearheaded by the top banana movement, because we already love the top banana. And those that are in that frequency, because there are others who haven't necessarily tuned into the top banana frequency, that are still in the awakened aspect, and they're rejecting Jezebel juice, and they're still in that love, they will come into the fold of the top banana when they see what is happening. But those who have stayed in that fold of the top banana and have not wavered in their knowing, they love the top banana. The top banana loves them. That creates a reverberation of love, a love field. And we love all the others that also love top banana. That creates such a powerful energy, frequency, commodity. It's what the service to self groups want. They don't want it through love, they want it through fear, but they want it because it holds huge numbers of people, and they want it. They want it through fear, but they want it. But they don't have it, and they will not ever have it in this reality leading up to the inevitability. They would have to go elsewhere to another planet, another dimension, to try to access that. They've had it in the past in smaller ways, and they are attempting to get it now. And they want it above all costs, but they don't have it. The top banana, he has it. He had it, and he still has it. This is true organic respect and love that comes from authenticity and is given freely. That's what we all now have. It's not as if Top Banana is spearheading a movement that we're all sort of following. We are each spearheading our own movement. We are all Top Bananas in various ways. That's kind of how this energy is. And it's sitting there waiting to manifest before our very eyes in a myriad of different ways. So we will together create true euphoria and bliss for one another. That's the euphoria and bliss I'm talking about because of this, quantum field, this possibility, this free energy possibility of all and everything being at our fingertips, magic, if you will, but it's actually science. But true science coming from love, that's all there within this inevitability being released in this huge, powerful, fast moving way. That's what we're moving into. So we will together create true euphoria and bliss for one another. That is the natural state of the human being. And that is the 12-strand DNA, 12-strand DNA code going into the quantum, 144,000. So anyone in this energy is a 144,000 warriors of light. As I've said before, 144,000 doesn't mean 144,000 people. That is a misinterpretation. It means you hold the code of the 144, and there are far more than 144,000, much, 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 much more than 144,000. You hold the code. So that's the bliss and the euphoria. That is the return to the infinite helix, DNA, construction, and code. That's where we're going. This whole journey is catalyzing it. And that's the paradox. Those that do not want this inevitability are creating it. Everything they do adds to the inevitability. But they have to do these things because they're trying to prevent it. I mean, they don't have to, but from the perspective, from the agenda they have, they believe that they have to. But it's backfiring because it's creating the inevitability. Basically, those who took those extra 10 strands, leaving us with the double helix, who do not want us to ever get those 10 strands back, by desperately doing all they can to prevent us getting the 10 strands back, they are allowing us to get the 10 strands back. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. That's what's happening. But it goes beyond 12 into the quantum field, into 144. It's all in the Bible, coded in a different way. So, when you read that, and this is what they are using as a benchmark to create the false screens. So if you look at all the predictions in the Bible, they are thinking, right, we'll create a false one of these, we'll create a false one of that. And this marries up with what they saw in their technologies, their whatever that's called, project Looking Glass. That's what I'm looking for. What they saw in those are the manifestations of what's in the Bible. So they create the false screens to hope to fool consciousness. And the paradox to that is it's creating it. It's creating the what's been foretold. It's creating the prophecy. The prophecy is written, and those who try to prevent the prophecy create the prophecy. We've seen this in sci-fi movies and fantasy fiction movies and stories. It's a well-known plot line. That's what's happening. That is what's happening. So that's the natural state of the human being. The 12 strands, the 144, the euphoria, the bliss, the love for one another. That's the natural state of the human being. Some of us are there now, not 24/7, because obviously we're still in the situation where they're attempting, but we can access it, we can find it, we can feel it. But when we get to the inevitability, we're there all the time. We are there all the time. And the thing is, we need to be ready to hold that level of light. And we're not yet. We are getting there. That's why the DNA configuration works in a non-linear sense to move in and out of this pulse within the different activations of the strands, to train us, to allow us to move slowly into this huge, big, if you will, pulse of light that occurs within the DNA and the pineal gland. That's this solar flash, that's this event. That's what this is, but it isn't occurring on one day in 1 minute, one great big moment. You get a big solar flash, everyone wakes up at the same time. That's a misinterpretation. The solar flash is happening now, the event is happening now, we're in it, and we're getting more and more and more towards the center of it. That's basically it. The solar flash lasts years, the event lasts years, but we're right at the culmination point of the center. So it just gets better and better from now on. But the intensity and the panic coming from the service to self factions, you know, the state of the deep are panicking. I mean, yeah, that's correct. It's a funny statement to make all the time. And if you're not sort of aware with the energy, you might think, well, no, they're not. They're fine. But actually, they are. But it's more of a urgency to get things done in a certain time. That's where the panic is. It's more, we're running out of time. We need to do this now. And they're not able to catch up with themselves. They're not able to do it in the time that they want to, because from their perspective, they have this annoying group of people that keep standing in their way. But energetically, that's the light and the dark working out this polarity into the higher octave and the higher upgrade. That's why you can't fool consciousness. You can't bypass it or skip around it or change it. You can do that for a finite amount of time, but not forever, because it's finite. The infinite will come through. So that's this pulse of light, this solar flash. We're going through it now. The flash is taking place within the pineal gland. So hang in there, stand strong, and cultivate temperance and stamina for what is to come. So hang in there. Don't give up. Whether it's top banana or whether it's you know, the things you wear around your faces, or whether it's Jezebel juice, or whatever it is that your feeling is pushing you to want to give up, or whether it's lack of spirituality that you feel you're not seeing, hang in there, because all of these things will come to a place of resolution within authenticity, truth, and light. All of them, top banana, will come to the rightful place. It's inevitable. It's inevitable in its frequency, not necessarily in the interpretation that you might think, but it's inevitable in its frequency. It will happen one way or another. I've been saying this all along. The what you wear around your face, that too will come to its authentic, truthful place. They will do everything they can to prolong that, to insist on it, because they are taking that as part of that ritual energy to create the confusion and the fear. But it will come to its rightful place in authenticity and in truth. And Jezebel juice, absolutely. That's breaking down. And eventually that too will come to its place of authenticity. But when that comes to its place of authenticity and truth, that creates another breakdown within the sleepers that creates a breakthrough. Because as they become aware, then there is another level of fear that in itself is then being hijacked, because they are working with our reaction and our antidote to what they are doing. So they are then taking our antidote and trying to use our antidote as the next catalyst for their next move. We then come in with another antidote. This is how it's going to plod along for a while. Or plod along's the wrong word. Shoot along is probably better, because it's fast, fast, fast. It's intense, intense, intense. So hang in there. And that is massively good advice. Hang in there. Do not give up. See what I see. Allow yourself to see what I'm showing you. It's real. It's not a fantasy. It's not a figment of my imagination. It is my imagination, because the imagination is the window into this. There is no imagination as in something you make up. Everything you make up has substance if you're cohesive. There's no such thing as imagination unless you are not cohesive. If you are lost and you don't have intense focus and focus upon that intention, then your imagination can be made up of thoughts that don't have any substance to manifest. So that's imagination. That's only in sleepers, in those who haven't awakened. When you are awakened and your thoughts are cohesive, there's no imagination. Imagination is pre-matter fabric to create reality through the pineal gland, through the brain, and the DNA, and the whole energy field. That's what it is. So see what I see. Allow yourself to see it, because it will carry you through. It's pure knowing, and it will carry you through. So hang in there is good advice. It sounds crazy, but it's good advice. Hang in there. Stand strong. Stand strong in your knowing of what I am saying, keeping your eyes on the prize, which is the inevitability. Stand strong in your boundaries. Do not waver in this. Do not allow yourself to be manipulated. They will try to manipulate everyone. Do not allow them to do that. You are stronger than they are. And cultivate temperance. This is this ability to temper what comes in stages without running into emotional overload and thus burnout. Temperance allows you to flow through what comes, taking each thing in your stride. And that doesn't mean you are ignoring everything. That doesn't mean that you are immune to feeling grief and sadness when you see atrocities occurring and when you see other people needing help and in pain. Doesn't mean you're immune to that. If anything, you're more connected to that. You have more compassion for that. But you need temperance to take you through, and stamina for the long haul, if you will, for the long journey, stamina to go through this. It is important we create what we all came here to create. We came here to create the inevitability by acting as the antidote to the catalyst. That's what we are. We're the antidote to the catalyst. The catalyst catalyzes the inevitability. We're the antidote to each step of that catalyst by accumulating light that stands as this equal and opposite reaction and eventually overshadows, if you will, or shines its light upon that service to self faction. So we create what we all came here to create, which is new earth, this new society in various ways. Some of us are here to work within the health and we'll be healing so many people. Others are messengers like myself, communicating with the higher fields and working out the probabilities to deliver the information. Others are here in a financial capacity to change the way we look at finance and the way that we use money and the way that we exchange and trade. Others are here in entertainment, others are here in media and reporting. Others are here to build and construct new earth, and will be involved in creating new types of living spaces and new types of homes and new uses for land, agriculture and farming, everything. I mean, literally everything is changing and everything is going quantum in this way that I'm explaining. Everything is going quantum. We are doing this not just for ourselves, but for our great great grandchildren and all our descendants. So, all the descendants that we have, whether we've had children ourselves and we have grandchildren or not, we're going to have nieces or nephews, or we're going to be related to someone somewhere in the family who's got a descendant line and is having children. We're doing it for our future humanity, basically. Even if we're not related to anyone who's got a child, we are doing this for other humans. And you're going to be related to some new children through past lives if you're not through this life. These are your people, the humans to come, the ones that will have open hearts and be born with that 12-strand DNA configuration already in place, ready, because they'll be matching the frequency of the new reality that we're creating for them. We're the pioneers, and we'll go down in history, you know, in their studies, and it won't be the same kind of schools that we have now, but they will learn and they will study with facilitators through love and through complete and utter service to the children. It's been the opposite, you know, all these years. I mean, yes, some families are in service to their children. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but the the way that the predominant energy has been to use the children, to mine the children, to take what you can from the children for yourself. Um, as I said, that's the predominant energy, how it's been. That is hugely shifting. It's already not that now. That's already starting to change. And that will be big, big, big as we move forward into this exposure. We will find out how the children have been used. But we are moving into a situation where every adult is in service to the child. The children will be treated as diamonds, as royalty. They will be in a way without manipulation, with genuine authenticity and genuine love, because they're the future. The children are the future, and the next generation always has to be greater than the generation before so that the planet can evolve and upgrade. If you squash the children's generation, then you move the planet into a devolution or a stagnation, which is what the service to others, service to self groups have done and what they want to continue to do: stagnation or devolution. So we haven't been able to evolve as a planet, as a human species, because of that level of hijacking. But that's changing. That's why the celebration will be not just liberty for humanity and for the human race, but liberty for those yet to come that haven't even incarnated yet, that haven't been born yet. Liberty for the children. That's what this huge energy of the next sort of 2 to 3 years is focused upon. Liberty for the children, the young ones. We're going to see this manifest in multiple ways, and it's not going to be pretty to look at, especially for the sleepers. But we must go through this in order to free the young and free those that are yet to come. And when you choose to leave this incarnation, you can choose to incarnate back here, but you won't be incarnating back here into a controlled planet. This is the last lifetime that you, as an awake soul, as a starseed being, have to experience living in a controlled reality. You've made it to the point where you're aware now and you have your memories back. So if you want to reincarnate here, you will reincarnate as one of the future children with the 12-strand DNA already activated, and you will be born into a different dimension, and it won't be the earth that you've known in previous incarnations. So that's where we're all going on a soul level. That's the focus, that's the journey, that is the direction. And there is no other track at the moment taking us into a different direction. The ultimate singularity and inevitability for this planet is that the world of the order of the new and the artificial timeline, whilst it's still being perpetuated in 3D and in certain forms in 4D, it isn't there in the true quantum future. It's already lost. That's why when you hear psychics say we've already won, they've already lost, that's true from that perspective. And I say this and I absolutely mean it. It's the truth, it's the truth, it's the truth. And then when I go and write something that is, oh, this is happening and they're going to do this, people are like, I thought you said it was all new. I thought you said we were going into New Earth. That's because we're speaking on multiple different dimensions here, 3D, 4D, 5D predominantly. That's why you can look at this inevitability and see that they've lost. From that perspective, of course they have. Of course they have. So we are doing this not just for ourselves, but for our great-great-grandchildren and all our descendants. We will go down in history as the forefathers and mothers of the new world, as opposed to order world new. New Earth. New world, new earth. A lot of people don't like the term new world because it's too similar to order of the new of the world. But it is a new world. That's been hijacked by putting the word order in there. New earth. We are the forefathers of this, and we will go down in history as such. So that was that status, and I had 320 replies and 20,000 people saw that comment just on Telegram. So I'm glad this is reaching so many because it's an activation in and of itself. As you will be aware of when you are listening to me speak and you are taking on board the visuals that I'm showing you, you will be activated by that. and then your activation carries weight into manifesting it. But you're manifesting something that's inevitable and will be manifested regardless, but you're still needed to manifest it. All these paradoxes tied up. There's always paradoxes in a singularity. So I think I'll leave this video here. Thank you so much for listening, and I will be back with more videos. So I shall see you again soon. Bye.